Liam had always loved old houses. There was something about them that spoke to him. A quiet story hidden behind peeling paint, broken windows, and overgrown gardens. He liked to imagine the lives of the people who had lived there long ago. Every house had a memory, and Liam wanted to bring those memories back to life. One afternoon, while exploring the edge of town, he spotted a house that immediately caught his eye. From the road, it looked abandoned. The roof sagged in places, the wooden shutters were crooked, and the paint was worn and faded. Vines climbed the walls and the garden was completely wild. Yet to Liam, the mansion had a strange charm. He could almost hear the laughter of families, the footsteps on the wooden floors, and the music from a long-forgotten piano. The mansion was massive. Liam estimated it had been built over 100 years ago, and after a quick search on his phone, he discovered it was actually around 150 years old. No one had lived there for decades. Local stories called it haunted, but Liam was not afraid. He believed that places like this only seemed scary because they were forgotten. Liam returned the next day with a notebook and a tape measure. He wanted to explore every corner. Walking up the creaking steps to the front porch, he noticed the intricate carvings on the wooden pillars. Some were cracked, but the patterns were still visible, showing that a skilled hand had built this mansion. He pushed the heavy front door open and stepped inside. Inside, the house smelled of old wood and dust. Sunlight streamed through holes in the roof, illuminating floating dust particles. Liam took slow steps across the wooden floors. Some boards groaned under his weight. The walls were faded and wallpaper peeled in long strips. Yet he could see the potential. He walked into what must have been the living room. A fireplace stood in the center, decorated with carvings of flowers and vines. Liam imagined families sitting here during winter, telling stories, playing games, and sipping hot drinks. In the corner, he found an old armchair covered in dust. He ran his hand along the fabric and could feel the years it had endured. Liam moved upstairs, careful with each step on the creaky staircase. Each room had something unique. One had a tall window overlooking the garden. Another had a closet full of old clothes and shoes. In a small drawer, he found a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. He opened one carefully. The handwriting was delicate and beautiful, telling stories of birthdays, weddings, and celebrations long ago. Liam smiled. This was history waiting to be restored. After exploring the mansion, Liam made a decision. He would buy this place. He wanted to restore it, not just for himself, but for the memory of those who had lived there. He wanted to bring life back to the mansion and let it tell its story again. At the auction, Liam faced a few other buyers. Some were investors who wanted to tear the mansion down and build something new. Others were curious collectors, interested only in the antiques inside. Liam bid carefully. When the auctioneer's hammer came down, the mansion was his. He felt a rush of excitement and responsibility. The next day, Liam returned with his truck full of tools, paint, and cleaning supplies. The neighbors watched from a distance, whispering to each other. Many were curious. No one had lived in the mansion for decades, and now someone had decided to bring it back to life. Liam started with small things. He cleared the garden, cutting the weeds and trimming the trees. He swept the floors and dusted the furniture he could salvage. Every corner revealed something new. A hidden compartment under the staircase contained old coins and photographs. Liam carefully cataloged everything. Each discovery made him more determined to restore the mansion with respect. As he worked, the neighborhood began to notice. Children would come by, peeking through the fence, asking questions. Liam welcomed their curiosity. He told them stories about the mansion, about the families who had lived there, and about the treasures hidden in the attic. The children's eyes widened with excitement, and Liam felt a sense of community forming around the mansion. One morning, while clearing the porch, Liam heard a sharp voice behind him. "Who are you?" Liam turned to see a woman standing at the edge of the driveway. She was dressed neatly, her hair in a tight bun, and her expression was serious. "I'm Liam. I bought the mansion," he said calmly. "I plan to restore it." The woman's eyes narrowed. "You bought it?" she exclaimed. "That is not yours. That mansion belongs to my son. It has been in our family for generations. You have no right to touch it." Liam tried to stay polite. "I understand you care about the mansion, but I purchased it legally at auction. The previous owner sold it, and the sale was public." The woman's face turned red. She shouted, "That's my son's inheritance!" "You cannot just take it." Liam noticed that her voice carried down the street, drawing the attention of some neighbors. The woman introduced herself as Karen. She demanded that Liam stop working immediately. He listened carefully, nodding respectfully, even though he disagreed. He explained that he had followed the law, and he had every right to restore the mansion. Karen was not convinced. She said she would go to the local authorities and the neighborhood association. She was determined to make him stop. Liam realized that restoring the mansion would be more complicated than just cleaning and painting. He would have to handle neighbors, legal matters, and arguments. Despite the confrontation, Liam did not lose hope. He had always loved challenges, and he believed that the mansion deserved to be saved. He returned to work, repairing windows, sweeping floors, and clearing debris. Every nail hammered and every brushstroke of paint felt like a victory. Over the next few weeks, Liam found more hidden treasures. A small wooden box under a floorboard contained letters describing daily life in the mansion. He discovered old photographs showing families in front of the house, children playing in the garden, and celebrations in the grand living room. Liam took care to preserve each item. Even though Karen continued to protest, some neighbors began supporting Liam. They admired his dedication and the way he was bringing beauty back to the community. People began stopping by, offering tools, flowers, and small donations to help. Liam felt encouraged. He realized that restoring the mansion was not just his dream. It was becoming a shared project for the whole neighborhood. One evening, as the sun set behind the mansion, Liam stood on the porch and looked at the house. The wood glowed in the fading light, and the garden smelled sweet after a day of clearing. Despite the challenges and arguments, Liam felt a sense of accomplishment. He had taken the first steps to breathe life back into the mansion, and he knew this was only the beginning of an incredible journey. The mansion was more than just a building. It was a connection to the past, a reminder of the lives lived and the memories created within its walls. Liam was determined to honor that history. He smiled and promised himself that, no matter what challenges came, he would restore the mansion to its former glory and create a place where stories could continue for generations to come. Liam did not yet know what surprises the mansion held or how the conflict with Karen would unfold. All he knew was that he had found a place worth fighting for, a place that could bring joy and history together. And as he stepped inside for the night, he felt a spark of excitement, ready for the days ahead. The mansion, long forgotten, had found a new caretaker. Liam's adventure had begun, and the story of the old cabin mansion was far from over. The next morning, Liam returned to the mansion with renewed energy. The sunlight filtered through the trees, casting gentle shadows across the garden. He looked around and smiled. The mansion was beginning to feel alive again. Every corner he cleaned and every window he repaired seemed to add a little spark of history back to the old house. He started with the windows. Many of them were cracked and some panes were missing entirely. Liam carefully removed the broken glass and replaced it with new panes, making sure they fit perfectly. While working, he noticed the wooden frames were beautifully carved, even though the paint had long faded. He took his time, sanding and polishing them so the carvings would shine like they had 100 years ago. Inside, Liam focused on the floors. The wooden planks were warped in places and nails had loosened over time. He carefully hammered each nail back in place, replaced the broken boards, and polished the floors until they gleamed. Walking through the rooms, Liam could almost hear the echoes of people from the past, walking and laughing in the same spaces he was restoring. He also repaired the staircase. The steps creaked loudly when he first climbed them, and some handrails were loose. Using tools he had brought from his workshop, Liam strengthened the staircase so it was safe and sturdy. He paused at the top to look out the window. From there he could see the entire garden, now partially cleared of weeds. The sight made him proud of the work he had already done. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, Liam found an old trunk tucked under a pile of dust and old blankets. He carefully opened it and discovered letters, journals, and photographs. The letters told stories of the mansion's original owners, their daily lives, family events, and celebrations. Liam felt a connection to the people who had lived here. He carefully organized the items, placing them in boxes to preserve their delicate condition. While Liam worked, he noticed neighbors beginning to pay more attention to the mansion. Some stopped to greet him, offering encouragement and advice. Others brought tools or old furniture that could be restored and used in the house. A few children peeked through the fence wide-eyed, fascinated by the transformation. Liam waved to them and invited them to come closer to see the progress. teaching them a little about history and restoration. However, not everyone was happy. Karen, the woman who claimed the mansion was her son's inheritance, continued to appear. She would drive slowly past the property, glare at Liam, and shout complaints from her car. Sometimes she walked up to the gate waving her arms and demanding that he stop. Liam remained calm. He knew that arguing with her would not help. He focused on the mansion, determined to restore it properly. One day, as he worked on the exterior walls, Karen arrived in a flurry. "You cannot do this," she shouted, standing at the edge of the freshly cleared garden. "That mansion is my family's. You have no right to touch it." Liam paused and set down his paintbrush. "Karen, I understand you feel strongly about the house, but it was sold legally at auction. I have all the paperwork. I am restoring it with care, not destroying it." Karen's face flushed red. She shook her finger at him. "Legal or not, my son should have inherited this house. You are taking what is rightfully his." Liam took a deep breath. "The previous owners sold the mansion decades ago. This house has been empty for a long time. I am not taking it from anyone. I am bringing it back to life." Karen huffed angrily, but this time she left without shouting. Liam watched her go, feeling a mix of frustration and relief. Her protests were tiresome, but he could not let them stop him. The next weeks were filled with hard work. Liam restored the kitchen, carefully cleaning the old stove and cupboards. He polished the countertops and fixed broken tiles. In the dining room, he repaired the long wooden table, sanding away years of damage. He even found a set of old chairs hidden in the corner, which he restored to look as elegant as they must have 100 years ago. The mansion slowly transformed. Each room began to tell a story again. The living room, once dark and dusty, now gleamed with polished floors, bright walls, and sunlight streaming through clean windows. Liam placed a few of the preserved photographs on a shelf, giving a glimpse of the family life that had once filled the house. Even the garden began to bloom. Liam planted flowers along the pathways and trimmed the bushes. The overgrown trees were carefully pruned, allowing sunlight to reach the lawn. Birds returned to the garden, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh flowers and earth. Liam felt proud. What had been a forgotten, neglected mansion was slowly becoming beautiful again. During this time, Liam also met other neighbors who shared stories about the mansion. Some remembered it from their childhoods, recalling family picnics, summer celebrations, and neighborhood gatherings. Liam listened to their memories carefully, adding them to his understanding of the mansion's history. These stories inspired him, reminding him why the restoration was so important. One evening, while Liam was restoring a small library room, he found a hidden drawer in one of the old bookshelves. Inside were more letters and a journal. The handwriting was delicate and careful, telling stories of a little girl who had grown up in the mansion. She wrote about playing in the garden, reading by the fireplace, and listening to her parents' stories in the evenings. Liam smiled as he read, imagining the life that had once filled the mansion. Despite the progress, Karen's presence loomed over the restoration. She would sometimes send letters to the neighborhood association, complaining about Liam and claiming the mansion belonged to her family. She even suggested he was damaging the property. Liam kept copies of all his legal documents, proof of purchase, and photographs showing the careful restoration work. He was prepared for any legal challenge, but he hoped it would not come to that. Liam's patience and dedication began to inspire others. A few neighbors who had been skeptical at first began helping. They offered tools, old furniture, and even flowers for the garden. Children who had been watching from the fence were now allowed to enter the garden under Liam's supervision. They helped plant flowers and clear debris, learning about teamwork and history. Liam enjoyed seeing their excitement. It reminded him that the mansion was not just a house, it was a place where memories could be made again. One morning, while Liam was repairing a window on the second floor, he found an old photograph tucked between the panes. It showed a family standing proudly in front of the mansion, smiling for the camera. Liam carefully cleaned it and placed it in the library. The photograph became a symbol for him, a reminder of why he was restoring the mansion. It was not just about bricks and wood. It was about preserving the stories of people who had lived, loved, and laughed there. By the end of the second month, the mansion looked almost unrecognizable. The walls were clean and bright, windows gleamed, the garden was alive with flowers, and the rooms were ready for furniture and decorations. Liam stood on the porch one evening, looking at the mansion. The sun set behind the trees, casting a warm golden light over the house. He felt proud, but he also knew there was more work to do. Karen's protest had quieted for now, but Liam knew she would not give up easily. He remained vigilant, ready to respond to any new complaints, but he refused to let them interfere with his work. His focus was on restoring the mansion, preserving its history, and creating a place where people could come together and enjoy its beauty. As Liam finished his work for the day, he walked through the rooms once more. Each corner now reflected care and attention. He could imagine families returning, children running through the halls and neighbors gathering in the garden. The mansion was alive again, and it was all because someone had believed in it. Someone had worked tirelessly to give it a second chance. Liam knew that the restoration would take months, even years, but he did not mind. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, and new joys. The mansion had become his passion, and he was determined to see it through to the end. The old cabin mansion, once abandoned and forgotten, was slowly becoming a home once more. Liam's dedication was turning history into a living story, and though Karen's anger still lingered nearby, Liam was confident that one day, even she would see the value of what he was doing. For now, he smiled as he watched the sun dip below the horizon, lighting the mansion in golden hues. This was only the beginning of a journey that would change not just the mansion, but the community and perhaps even himself. As the mansion began to take shape, Liam felt a growing sense of pride. The garden was vibrant, the floors shined, and the rooms were nearly restored. Every corner of the house now reflected care, attention, and respect for its history. Yet despite all his hard work, Karen's presence continued to cast a shadow over his progress. She appeared more often now, standing at the gate, pacing along the driveway, and speaking to anyone who would listen. She claimed the mansion belonged to her son, even though the legal documents proved otherwise. Her voice carried through the neighborhood, sharp and persistent, and Liam could hear her complaints as he worked. One morning, while painting the hallway walls, Liam noticed Karen approaching. She carried a folder filled with papers and wore an expression of determination. "I have brought legal documents," she called. "This house is my son's inheritance." "You must stop immediately." Liam set down his brush calmly. "Karen, I understand that you care about this mansion, but the sale was legal. I have all the documents and proof of ownership. I am not trying to harm the house. I am restoring it carefully." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Proof or not, my family has a claim. This house has been part of our lives for generations. You cannot just erase that." Liam sighed. He knew that reasoning with Karen would take patience. "I respect your feelings," he said gently. "But the previous owners sold the house decades ago. I am preserving it, not destroying it. You can see for yourself how much care I am putting into the restoration." Karen turned on her heel and left, but Liam knew this would not be the end of her protests. He returned to his work, determined not to let her anger distract him. Each day he focused on the mansion, repairing, cleaning, and restoring its original beauty. As Liam worked, some neighbors began to support him more openly. Mrs. Allen, an elderly woman who lived nearby, brought boxes of old books and furniture she thought could be restored for the mansion. A young couple, Mark and Lucy, offered to help with the garden. Children from the neighborhood came by, eager to learn about history and restoration. Liam welcomed all the help, grateful for the community that was slowly forming around the mansion. Despite the growing support, Karen's interference was a constant challenge. She wrote letters to the neighborhood association, claiming Liam was trespassing and causing damage. She also suggested he was breaking regulations. Liam kept copies of every document, photograph, and repair record, ready to defend himself if necessary. One afternoon, Liam decided to focus on the mansion's library. The room had tall shelves, many of them empty or dusty. He began cleaning, carefully removing years of grime. As he wiped down the shelves, he discovered a hidden panel behind one of the bookcases. Curious, he pushed it open and found a small room, untouched for decades. Inside the hidden room, Liam found old furniture, journals, and documents. The journals belonged to the original owner of the mansion, a kind man who had written about his family, the construction of the mansion, and the joys and struggles of daily life. Liam carefully examined each journal, amazed by the detail and the life they revealed. While exploring the room, he discovered another surprise, a small chest with a lock. Using tools he had brought, he carefully opened it. Inside were photographs, letters, and a few small treasures, including a silver locket and a delicate pocket watch. The letters described family gatherings, celebrations, and even small disputes that had been resolved with kindness. Liam felt connected to the people who had lived in the mansion. Their stories now became a part of his restoration project. Meanwhile, Karen's complaints continued. She drove by more frequently, sometimes shouting accusations. One day she even tried to speak to the neighbors, telling them that Liam had no right to work on the mansion. Liam noticed that her anger made her isolated. Most neighbors began supporting him openly, helping with repairs, cleaning, and gardening. The children, once shy observers, now played safely in the garden under Liam's watchful eye. Liam realized that his calm and respectful approach was gradually winning over the community. He never argued with Karen in public. Instead, he focused on demonstrating through action that his intentions were good. Every repaired window, every polished floor, and every planted flower told a story of care and respect. One evening, as Liam was working in the garden, Karen approached again. This time she seemed more determined than ever. "I will not let you ruin my family's legacy," she shouted. "This house belongs to my son." Liam paused and looked at her calmly. "I am not ruining anything. I am restoring the mansion, preserving its history and sharing it with the community. Look around, Karen, the house is alive again. The garden is full of flowers, the children are learning about its history, and neighbors are helping. This mansion is meant to be enjoyed, not hidden away." Karen glared at him, but Liam's calm words seemed to surprise her. For a moment she said nothing. Then she turned and walked away without another word. Liam watched her leave, feeling a mix of relief and caution. He knew she might return, but he also realized that showing respect and care could speak louder than anger. The hidden room and the chest became a turning point in Liam's restoration. He carefully displayed the photographs, letters, and treasures in the library. He added labels explaining their significance, so anyone visiting could learn about the mansion's history. The library, once dusty and forgotten, became a place where stories came alive. Neighbors began visiting more often. They were curious about the hidden room and the treasures Liam had discovered. Some shared their own memories of the mansion from long ago, adding to the growing collection of stories. Children listened eagerly, imagining the lives of the families who had lived there. Liam felt proud. His efforts were creating not just a restored house, but a living history lesson. Despite the progress, Karen's influence still lingered. She continued to send letters and occasionally spoke to neighbors, trying to challenge Liam's work. But her words were now drowned out by the growing community support. People admired Liam's dedication, and they saw that the mansion was no longer just a private property. It had become a place where history, community, and care came together. One day, Liam received a call from a local historian. The historian had heard about the mansion and wanted to visit. Liam was excited to share his discoveries. When the historian arrived, he was amazed by the restored rooms, the garden, and especially the hidden library. He praised Liam for his careful work and suggested that the mansion could even be used for small historical tours in the future. Liam felt proud and encouraged. With the historian's visit, more neighbors became interested. Some offered to help with research, while others contributed to the mansion's restoration. Liam realized that he was no longer working alone. The mansion had become a community project, and everyone involved felt a sense of ownership and pride. As the months passed, Liam continued his work. He repaired the roof, painted the exterior, and added decorations that reflected the mansion's original style. He took care to preserve every detail, from the carved wooden panels to the small ornaments he had discovered in the hidden room. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, and new opportunities to connect with the mansion's history. Karen, however, remained a challenge. She still believed the mansion belonged to her son, even though the evidence showed otherwise. Liam knew he had to be patient. He focused on the mansion, letting his work speak for itself. Over time, he noticed that even Karen seemed less hostile. She stopped shouting from the driveway and no longer tried to rally neighbors against him. Liam hoped that one day she would see the value in what he had created. By the end of the third month, the mansion was almost completely restored. The floors shined, the walls were bright, the garden was full of life, and the hidden library displayed treasures from the past. Liam felt a sense of accomplishment, but he also knew that the journey was not over. There were still repairs to make, decorations to restore, and stories to uncover. The mansion had become more than a building. It was a living reminder of the past, a place where neighbors could gather, Children could learn and history could be appreciated. Liam felt proud of what he had accomplished and hopeful for what was to come. Even with the ongoing tension from Karen, Liam's focus never wavered. He knew that patience, care, and respect would eventually show the true value of the mansion. He smiled as he walked through the restored rooms, imagining families laughing, celebrating, and living within its walls. The mansion, once abandoned and forgotten, was alive again, and Liam was proud to be its caretaker. The conflict with Karen was not over, but Liam had learned an important lesson. Care, respect, and dedication could overcome anger and resentment. He continued his work, ready to face whatever challenges the next months would bring, confident that the mansion's story was far from finished. As the mansion neared completion, Liam felt both excitement and curiosity. He had repaired the floors, polished the walls, restored the windows, and brought the garden back to life. Every room reflected the care he had put into the restoration, yet he sensed that the mansion still held secrets waiting to be uncovered. One sunny afternoon, while organizing the attic, Liam discovered a loose floorboard near the far corner. Curious, he pried it open carefully. Beneath the board lay a hidden compartment that he had never noticed before. His heart raced with anticipation. Inside, he found old papers tied together with a faded ribbon. The top document was a deed showing that the mansion had once belonged to a wealthy family many generations ago. As Liam examined the papers, he realized that some of them contained more than just ownership details. There were letters between family members discussing events in the mansion, celebrations, and even personal achievements. One letter in particular caught his attention. It was from a young girl to her father, describing her dreams of hosting gatherings, planting flowers in the garden, and filling the mansion with laughter. Liam felt a deep connection to the family. Their hopes and memories had survived through the decades, waiting for someone to preserve them. Determined to explore further, Liam moved the remaining boxes in the attic. He found another small chest, this one locked with an old brass padlock. Using tools he had brought, he carefully opened it. Inside were photographs, jewelry, and personal items that belonged to the family. There was a delicate silver locket engraved with initials, a pocket watch with intricate designs, and a small box of pressed flowers. Each item told a story. Liam handled everything gently, understanding the importance of these relics. While examining the photographs, Liam noticed something remarkable. One picture showed the mansion from above, and in the garden, a small stone marker could be seen partially hidden under a bush. It appeared to be some kind of memorial or marker, but no one had ever mentioned it. Liam decided he needed to find it. The next morning, he cleared the overgrown bushes in the garden near the area from the photograph. After a few hours of work, he uncovered a small stone slab with faded writing. Liam knelt to read it and realized it was a dedication to the family who had built the mansion. The inscription mentioned the family's name, the year the mansion was completed, and a note about planting a garden that would bring joy to anyone who lived there. Liam felt a surge of respect. He realized that this mansion had always been meant to be a place of happiness, not a subject of disputes or anger. Word about Liam's discoveries began to spread. Neighbors were curious and eager to see the artifacts, the photographs, and the hidden room in the attic. Liam invited a few to visit under careful supervision. They were amazed by what they saw. The children were especially fascinated, asking questions about the mansion's history and the family that had lived there. Liam shared stories from the letters and photographs, bringing the past to life. Karen, however, was not pleased. She heard about the hidden treasures and came to the mansion once again, this time more determined than ever. "I will not let you keep these things," she shouted. "This mansion belongs to my family." Liam calmly approached her. "Karen, I understand that you feel strongly about the mansion, but these items are part of its history. They were left behind by previous owners. I am taking care of them and preserving them. The mansion is not meant to be owned by anger or disputes. It is meant to be enjoyed and respected." Karen glared, but Liam's calmness seemed to surprise her. For a moment she said nothing, then turned and walked away, muttering under her breath. Liam watched her leave, feeling both relief and cautious optimism. He knew that action spoke louder than words, and his dedication to preserving the mansion would eventually show its true value. Over the next few weeks, Liam continued to restore the mansion while carefully cataloging the items he had found. He cleaned and repaired the furniture from the hidden room, displayed photographs with labels explaining their significance, and set up a small area in the library to showcase the artifacts. The library, once dark and dusty, now became a place where anyone could come to learn about the mansion's history. Neighbors became more involved in the project. Mrs. Allen brought old books and furniture that matched the mansion's style. Mark and Lucy continued helping with the garden, planting flowers and trimming bushes. Children came after school to help with small tasks and to hear stories from the past. The mansion was no longer just a house. It had become a community center, a place for learning, sharing, and celebrating history. One evening, while organizing the artifacts in the library, Liam discovered a small envelope tucked behind a photograph. Inside was a letter that changed everything. It was addressed to anyone who would restore the mansion in the future. The letter described the family's wishes, that the mansion be preserved, that its history be respected, and that it be used to bring joy and education to the community. Liam felt a deep sense of responsibility. He realized that his work was fulfilling the wishes of the family from long ago. With renewed purpose, Liam began planning events at the mansion. He organized small history tours, inviting neighbors and children to learn about the family, the mansion, and the treasures he had discovered. The community responded enthusiastically. People were excited to be part of something meaningful, and the mansion became a gathering place where stories, memories, and lessons could be shared. Even Karen began to notice the change. She drove by, occasionally, but instead of shouting, she watched quietly. Liam could see that she was curious, perhaps even impressed by the positive impact the restoration had on the community. He hoped that one day she would understand that the mansion's value was greater than ownership. It was about history, care, and shared memories. Liam continued to uncover small surprises. Hidden behind a false panel in the attic, he found more photographs and a journal that belonged to the daughter of the family. The journal described the mansion in detail. The laughter of children, family, celebrations, and even small challenges that were overcome with patience and kindness. Reading these entries, Liam felt even more connected to the family. Their dreams of a lively, joyful home were coming true through his work. The mansion now stood as a symbol of history and community. Each repaired room, each polished floor, and each blooming flower reflected the love and dedication Liam had invested. The neighbors felt a sense of pride and ownership too, understanding that the mansion was no longer abandoned. It belonged to everyone who cared about preserving its past and enjoying its present. One sunny afternoon, Liam organized a small gathering in the garden. Neighbors brought food, flowers, and small gifts for the mansion. Children ran around playing while adults admired the restored rooms and the treasures displayed in the library. Liam shared the stories he had uncovered, reading letters and showing photographs. The community listened with fascination, amazed at the history that had survived for more than a century. Karen arrived unexpectedly during the gathering. She walked slowly through the garden, watching the children play and neighbors admire the mansion. For the first time, she said nothing angry or loud. She observed quietly as if considering everything she had seen. Liam approached her calmly. "Karen, the mansion is thriving because of respect, care, and community," he said gently. "It is no longer forgotten. The family's history is preserved and everyone can enjoy it." Karen paused, looking around. The garden was full of life, the mansion gleamed in the sunlight, and the library displayed the treasures from the past. Slowly, she nodded. Liam could see that her anger was softening. She had witnessed firsthand that the mansion was being honored, not destroyed. By the end of the day, the mansion had become more than a restored house. It was a place of learning, connection, and shared memories. Liam felt proud of the work he had done and grateful for the support of the community. The hidden treasures, letters, and artifacts had added depth to the restoration, making the mansion a living testament to the lives that had once filled it. Even with the challenges and protests, Liam realized that his dedication and patience had paid off. The mansion was no longer just a building. It was a symbol of hope, history, and community. He knew that the final stage of restoration would bring even more discoveries, joy, and perhaps the ultimate resolution to the conflict that had begun months ago. As the sun set behind the mansion, Liam stood on the porch looking at the garden in full bloom and the rooms glowing with light from the windows. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The mansion had survived neglect, anger, and time, and now it was thriving. Liam knew that he had not only restored a house, but he had also revived its spirit, ensuring that the history, memories, and stories would continue for generations to come. The mansion, once forgotten and abandoned, had found life again. Through Liam's dedication and the community's support, it had become a place of discovery, learning, and shared joy. And while Karen still remained a figure nearby, Liam knew that respect, patience, and care could overcome anger, just as they had preserved the mansion for future generations. The mansion was now alive with light, color, and activity. Months of hard work had transformed it from a forgotten, abandoned structure into a place of beauty and history. The floors gleamed, the windows shone, and the garden overflowed with vibrant flowers. Every corner reflected Liam's dedication and the care he had put into the restoration. Liam walked through the hallways, inspecting his work. Each room told a story. The library displayed the hidden treasures he had discovered in the attic: letters, photographs, and small keepsakes from the family who had built the mansion. The furniture had been repaired, polished, and arranged carefully, and the walls were decorated with paintings and historical photographs. The mansion was no longer just a house. It was a living museum of memories. Neighbors had become an essential part of the restoration. They visited regularly, helping Liam with finishing touches, planting flowers, and arranging the rooms. Children ran through the garden, playing among the flowers and learning about the mansion's history. Adults admired the craftsmanship and shared their own memories of the area. The mansion had become a place where the community gathered, connected by respect for history and shared effort. Even Karen, who had been the most vocal critic, began to change. She still came by occasionally, but instead of shouting, she watched quietly. Liam had noticed her slowing down when she passed the mansion and occasionally nodding at the beauty around her. He remained patient, knowing that her perspective might take time to shift. One morning, Liam invited Karen to see the mansion more closely.
"Karen," he said, "I want you to see what has been done."
"The house is restored and the treasures from the past are preserved. You can see how carefully I have worked." Karen hesitated, but curiosity got the better of her. She walked slowly through the garden and entered the mansion. Her eyes widened as she saw the polished floors, the restored furniture, and the bright, clean walls. She paused in the library, looking at the photographs and letters displayed carefully. This is incredible," Karen admitted softly. "You have done a lot of work," Liam smiled. "Thank you. I restored it because I believe this mansion belongs to history, not just one person. The family who lived here wanted it to be a place of joy and learning, and that is what I am trying to do." Karen looked around, taking in the vibrant garden and the joyful laughter of children playing outside. For the first time, she seemed to see beyond her anger. She realized that the mansion was thriving, not because it belonged to her family, but because someone cared enough to preserve it. Over the next few weeks, Karen's visits became less tense. She even helped Liam plant a few flowers in the garden and arrange chairs for small gatherings. Slowly, she became part of the community effort, recognizing that the mansion's value was greater than ownership. It was about history, respect, and shared enjoyment. Liam continued to organize events at the mansion. He held small history tours, inviting neighbors and children to learn about the family, the mansion's construction, and the treasures found in the attic. He shared letters, photographs, and journals, bringing the past to life. Children were fascinated, asking questions and imagining life in the mansion long ago. Adults enjoyed the stories as well, gaining a deeper appreciation for their community and its history. The hidden room in the attic became one of the mansion's highlights. Visitors were amazed to see the original furniture, letters, and photographs preserved with care. Liam had labeled each item, explaining its significance so that everyone could understand the family's life and experiences. The room became a symbol of the mansion's history and a testament to the importance of preserving the past. One sunny afternoon, Liam organized a small celebration in the garden. Neighbors brought food, flowers, and decorations. Children played games and adults shared stories and admired the restored mansion. Liam took a moment to look around. The mansion was full of life, laughter, and memories being created once again. Karen arrived during the celebration. She walked through the garden, watching the children play and the neighbors gather. Liam approached her with a smile. "Karen, it is wonderful to see everyone enjoying the mansion." "Thank you for being here," Karen nodded. I can see now that the mansion is in good hands. You have respected its history and made it a place for the community. I am glad it is no longer abandoned." Liam smiled warmly. "It was always meant to be a place of joy, Karen, not a source of conflict. I hope that in the future it can continue to bring happiness to everyone." Karen paused, then said softly, "I suppose my son would have been happy to see it like this. I understand now that this mansion is bigger than any one person. It belongs to its history and to the people who care about it." With that, Karen joined the other neighbors, helping to arrange chairs and decorations. The tension that had once dominated the neighborhood faded, replaced by a sense of community and shared pride. Liam felt a deep sense of relief. The mansion, which had once been abandoned and a source of conflict, was now a symbol of unity, history, and care. As the celebration continued, Liam walked through the mansion, inspecting the rooms one last time. He paused in the library, looking at the treasures displayed with care. Letters, photographs, journals, and small keepsakes told stories of the family who had lived there. He smiled, knowing that their memories had been preserved and that the mansion had regained its dignity. The mansion's garden was alive with flowers, laughter, and sunlight. Children ran through the paths, playing and discovering hidden corners. Adults admired the restored house, discussing the history and the effort that had gone into the restoration. Liam felt proud of what he had accomplished, but he also knew that the mansion's true value lay in the joy it brought to the community. Karen walked up beside him. "Liam," she said quietly, "thank you for caring about this house. You have done something wonderful here. I realize now that my anger was misplaced. The mansion is not just about inheritance. It is about history, memory, and community." Liam nodded. "I'm glad you see that, Karen. The mansion has a story to tell, and it belongs to everyone who appreciates it. History is not lost when we preserve it with care." The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the mansion and the garden. Liam stood on the porch looking at the vibrant colors, the joyful faces of neighbors, and the restored beauty of the house. He felt a sense of completion and fulfillment. Months of hard work, patience, and dedication had transformed the mansion into a living symbol of history and community. That evening, Liam held a small gathering in the library. He read letters from the past, showing photographs and artifacts to the neighbors. Children listened with wide eyes, imagining the lives of the family who had once filled the mansion. Adults appreciated the history, understanding the importance of preserving stories from the past. Karen even helped, pointing out details and listening with curiosity. As the night drew to a close, Liam looked around the mansion one final time for the day. Every room reflected care and respect. Every corner told a story. The mansion was no longer abandoned, no longer a source of conflict. It had become a place of learning, joy, and shared memories. Karen approached him one last time before leaving. "Liam," she said, "I see now that this mansion is more than just a house. It is alive again because of you. Thank you for restoring it and giving it back to the community." Liam smiled. "You're welcome, Karen. It was always meant to be this way. A place for people to connect, learn, and enjoy the beauty of history." With that, Karen left, her expression calm and thoughtful. Liam turned back to the mansion, feeling a sense of pride and satisfaction. The journey had been challenging, filled with conflict, hard work, and unexpected discoveries. But in the end, the mansion had been restored not only physically but also in spirit. The mansion, once forgotten and abandoned, was now a living testament to history, community, and care. Liam had honored the family who built it, preserved its treasures, and brought joy back to the neighborhood. The stories of the past and present were now intertwined, creating a legacy that would last for generations. As Liam walked through the garden one last time that evening, he felt a sense of peace. The sun set behind the mansion, casting a golden glow over the flowers, the children playing, and the restored walls. The mansion had finally found its purpose once again. Liam knew that the mansion would continue to thrive, not because of him alone, but because of the community, the memories, and the respect for history. He smiled, realizing that sometimes the greatest reward is not ownership but the chance to give life joy and meaning back to something that was once forgotten. The mansion, once abandoned and claimed by time, was alive again. It had become a symbol of hope, history, and unity, and Liam, through patience, care, and dedication, had restored not just a house but a home for memories, stories, and community spirit.